This is Vince Dontak with Mexlife Realtors here in Puerto Vallarta. As a real estate advisor, I help people turn their dreams of living and investing in property here in Puerto Vallarta a reality. My goal is to make this experience as smooth and as exciting as possible by answering all your questions and explaining the process step to step to eliminate any stress that you may have. Today, we are here in the home of a first-time buyer who recently got the keys to her new home. In her own words, you're about to hear why she picked Puerto Vallarta and about the hurdles that we faced and how we worked together to make this beautiful property hers. Well, hi Darcy, here we are in your new place. We're excited to hear your story. And can you introduce yourself and tell us what inspired you to buy this beautiful property here in Puerto Vallarta?
Sure, my name is Darcy Harrison and I'm originally from Rhode Island in the States, and I've lived in Seattle for 25 years. And I visited a number of times, first off through cruising, and then through individual trips on my own, exploring different parts of the area. And yeah, just decided that I really loved it and wanted to come down here and invest.
So you've been here quite a few times, you knew what to expect.
I mean, there's always surprises, you know, just with any kind of metropolitan area, whether it's in Mexico or anywhere else. So I try to make sure that I roll with the punches, that the things that you can anticipate, you do your best to anticipate, but then you have to be ready for surprises.
Yeah, for sure. And what were you looking for that you felt that Puerto Vallarta has to offer you?
I really enjoy, obviously, the weather. It's beautiful. I have to be by the ocean. I grew up by the water, and so I love being by the water. That's my peace.
Yeah.
And tranquility is being by the water. And I think the people here are very friendly and gracious and wonderful and are usually very understanding. I don't know a lot of Spanish yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it was just always kind of a good vibe that felt comfortable.
And when you were first thinking about coming here to Puerto Vallarta to purchase property, what fears or concerns or hesitations did you have about buying property here?
Well, you know, there's always a fear of, in real estate investment, that there could be something that you don't know or don't see in a property. So that I think that's a general concern, but the differences between buying in the States and buying in Mexico, I just wanted to make sure that I understood the details and nuances of what would be different. And I definitely feel like I had a pretty good understanding, and that was really due to my agent Vince, who is really friendly and has been very open in communication with any kind of questions or concerns that I have.
Many of the first-time buyers have exactly those same concerns in the beginning stages. And so how did you come to find Mexlife, and how did you know that we were the right fit for you?
So when I was looking into thinking in the initial process of looking at listings in Puerto Vallarta, I tried to be very organized. So I made myself a little spreadsheet, and I didn't want to jump in too quickly because I can get overwhelmed very easily. So I got to know kind of the market and what was out there for quite a while, a couple months, and had the opportunity in some of these websites, especially Mexlife, to sign up for sort of a search parameter. And Vince was able to kind of slowly but surely be like, this is in your parameters, without being high pressure. And just sort of like, hey, I'm here, and you let me know if you want to talk. And when I was ready to really kind of get serious about it, that's when I was able to have a Zoom meeting and kind of go over the whole process in more concrete detail.
And was there a specific moment of us interacting that made you think, yeah, I trust this advisor, with this very important decision of buying the property?
I work in the service industry. I'm a hairstylist, and my approach to sales is not aggressive. It has to be about the client and the customer, and so that's kind of how I like to be treated as well. And I felt like this was about me and not about trying to get a sale. And the moment that I felt like it was a really good fit was when we were in the Zoom and we were kind of just sort of joking around. It wasn't just all business, that there was a friendliness there and an openness rather than sort of a cut and dry, black and white business relationship. And that's how I am with my clients. And so that's how I appreciate being with whether it's a real estate agent or other service providers for other things.
And can you walk us through the steps that you took with us from our first conversation to closing?
We had an email conversation after I contacted saying, hey, I'm thinking about coming down to visit to look at a bunch of properties. We did the Zoom and then we scheduled for me to come down, and you asked me if I had any favorites, and I was very clear on the things that I really did like, but I did not want to be only strictly to the listings that I had found because I knew that you lived here and that you had an understanding of listings that I might not even have seen because I wasn't privy to all of the consolidated listings like you are. And also, you know, intimately, just for being in the community, you know, something that might not be on the market yet, pre-construction, things like that. So it was really helpful to be able to have a mix of things that I already had in mind and then some things that I hadn't known or thought of. And then once I had come, we did about, I don't know, 2 to 4 properties a day. We didn't, you know, it wasn't high pressured, it wasn't stressful, it felt organic, it felt natural, and I did not have a moment where I felt like, you know, everything was rushed. And I also like the fact that we were able to take some time to like go and have lunch or sit down and talk and have coffee and kind of discuss the properties as we saw them. I thought that was really important.
Do you feel that I answered all your questions, or Mexlife provided all the resources for you to make you happy with the procedure?
I'm very self-sufficient and resourceful, so I don't expect a white glove service and having everything taken care of me like a concierge at a hotel. Mexlife and you, Vince, stepped in exactly when I had questions and filled in the blanks, like things that I hadn't thought of. Probably the most laborsome process after making an offer was trying to translate HOA documents from Spanish to English so that I could read through them. But I think that was probably the most difficult that I had with the process, and
Right.
that isn't that much.
Right. And how do you think our approach differs from what you expected when investing in a foreign country?
I didn't realize that closing is somewhat shorter in Mexico. That was interesting to me, and I was like, wow, this is gonna happen quicker, that's great. I mean, it's hard because, you know, when I bought my first home in Seattle, I was in Seattle, living in Seattle. So what I was used to with my real estate agent in Seattle was that she actually came and got a haircut with me. That's how I got to know her. She got to know me. So I don't expect people to do that, and I don't expect, you know, people to come all the way to Seattle to do that. Yeah. But I had a similar facsimile experience to that, which is like, okay, I feel at home with this person. This doesn't feel forced. It feels natural. It feels positive, and it also feels like that there's a natural flow.
Did you experience any wow moments that really confirmed Puerto Vallarta was the right choice for you?
Well, you cannot get over when you go see some of these rooftop pools and these views that are in Puerto Vallarta, whether it's in Zona Romantica or Conchas Chinas or Hotel Zone or whatever neighborhood it is, a rooftop pool and seeing the beautiful expanse of the Puerto Vallarta skyline is always a wow moment.
How about if there are any hiccups, how did Mexlife help navigate those, or whether it was paperwork, language barriers, or anything unexpected?
The nice thing is that Vince was always available to me on WhatsApp. And so if I had a concern or a question, he always got back to me very quickly. And if he didn't have an answer, he'd find it as soon as he could. The thing is that with some of the different government that's in Mexico that things take a little bit more time, or sometimes it's not as straightforward as you might expect it to be, or maybe it is smoother than you thought it would be. Every single step you've been able to help, and you're still very helpful to this day. And I don't expect that from you, and I don't expect that from service providers for them to go above and beyond after the transaction. But I really felt like that really benefited me, and I really appreciate it.
Do you feel that our communication style and local expertise helped reinforce the trust?
Yes, yeah, it makes a big deal when someone has been through the process themselves of moving and buying property from another country. You know, the differences you were able to sort of kind of give me a heads up about, and it felt like I was being guided, and I felt strong in being supported.
What would you tell a friend who's on the fence about buying a property here in Puerto Vallarta and needs the right advisor? What advice would you give them?
My advice would be to get clear on what you want and what you need. Because if you are not clear with what you want and what you need in a property, it's going to be very difficult for any real estate agent or any service provider to give you 5-star service. That they'll be spending a lot of time trying to figure things out with you rather than focusing on actually looking at the different properties and comparing and contrasting the strengths of those. So I think sometimes there's internal work you have to do yourself of like, well, I think I want a 3-bedroom. Well, do you? Do you need a 3-bedroom? Do you want a 3-bedroom? You know, stuff like that. And you know, there were certain things that I was very clear on that I wasn't going to budge on. I didn't want western facing. I knew I didn't want to be too far north or too far south.
Right.
So I think that really helps to narrow it down because, you know, there are so many amazing properties in Puerto Vallarta, and you could get lost in looking at them for months.
Yeah, right. Okay. And how do you describe life here now that you're part of the Puerto Vallarta community? How did we help you embrace that local lifestyle?
There is a friendliness and an openness that is unique to Puerto Vallarta. And I've grown up and lived in areas that are very cold or very gray or very wet, and sort of the personality profiles of people that you interact with can tend to be more insular and less social. And what I really love about Puerto Vallarta is that it just feels normal that everyone's just sort of, let's go do this, let's go do that, and that it's just part of the energy that everyone is sharing here, and that it's doesn't feel closed off. It feels open.
A lot easier to meet people because of that energy.
Yep.
That's right. And how do you see owning property here enriching your life in the next few years?
I definitely think it's going to be really great to have Puerto Vallarta real estate in order to have not just a work-life balance, but just a life balance in general, because I have been working really hard for, you know, in customer service related jobs for a long time. And so I haven't been able to travel or do vacations as much until, you know, my 40s. And so I feel like this is an opportunity for me to feel more well-rounded just as a human, and some of the things that I want to develop just in confidence and in my personality and spirituality or whatever, that this is the next step for me in the larger plan of whatever my life is. I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up, but maybe I'll figure it out here.
Oh, that's great. So great to hear your story, Darcy, and thank you for sharing your experience with us. And Mexlife and myself both wish you many, many years of happiness here in Puerto Vallarta.
Thank you so much.
So if you're looking for that perfect place to call home for you and your family, or maybe you're looking for a money-making investment property, retirement haven, or a holiday home in the sun, don't hesitate to contact me with any questions you may have. I look forward to hearing from you and how I can help you best to find that perfect property. I hope to see you soon. Don't forget your sunscreen.